By the answer now, true to the form, steering clear of the norm. Evacuate the area, we're cooking a storm. Now how we roll with the flow is something that you should know. To be a true track maker and a one-man show, you have to first be a listener to add any additional season to the recipe, the soul and the visitor. Don't stress, be the best, get it off of your chest. Reflects best with the success, this is a test of how high we can roll when we're rocking the soul. We're never happy till the funk is at the back of the goal. So when you're headed with your ready and you think you can sell it, I got news that's just serious, print this off and shred. Cause you're a thief and a cheat and you're bringing the heat. You like originality, yeah, that's the word on the street. Are you forever never even trying anything new? There's more than 4 but you ain't got a goddamn clue to rock a party hard, baby, yeah, the whole night through. Stop, there's something wrong, oh, that's you.
Now, a rumour has sprung forth from the deepest bowels of the also coveted covenants of the infamous Church of the Subgenius, heralding Bob Dobbs' long-awaited return. I said he'll appear like a flash on the 14th of May 2014 on the eve of the EU elections, and ironically, the 750th anniversary of democracy. What's unclear is whether he's come to herald the People's Uprising that was the Battle of Lewis, or to run candidates in the European parliamentary election for his political party, the Birthday Party. I mean, isn't it time for Bob Dobbs to return? Bob Dobbs, the people's hero? Why wouldn't he return to celebrate the masses when they charged down to Lewis and took their sovereignty that had only been teased before them by a mean King Henry III, and they took him alive along with his own brother, Earl of Cornwall, who was King of Germany. They even took Henry's son, Edward I, who would later become Longshanks. And they even took Robert the Bruce. You know, Robert the Bruce became King of Scotland. It really was. It was an all-star cast of Hollywood goodies and baddies, except no surprise, they're all on the same side. Up against, well, they tell us it was the barons. The barons against the king. But I don't buy that. No way. Lewes Castle was the first Norman armoury built in Britain. It was a state-of-the-art defensive, which was surrounded by all the king's horses and all the king's men. And that's king's plural, remember. Lewes Castle was absolutely crawling with the little frackers. To take on such a manoeuvre, it would have been suicide. Unless it was an uprising, and the barons had to choose the side, just like in the days of Cromwell, in the days of the Roundheads and the Cavaliers. This must be why Bob's returning. He's heralding the people's uprising. It's the people's birthday party. The only problem is that if he appears on the burial site of all those that fought for our sovereignty, he's likely to materialise in a jail as the most likely burial ground for all those that died in the Battle of Lewis. Has a prison, Lewis prison, built right on top of it. Now, what's the message there? I'm not sure. Why would anyone build a prison on the burial ground of our ancestors that died fighting for our sovereign rights? Now, what's Bob up to here? Isn't he just opening a can of worms? Maybe he's calling for an amnesty and not telling us to bust him out of jail, but to bust right into our own sovereign rights to free all those victimless criminals locked up against their sovereign rights. And let's face it, news indeed comes, not a moment too soon. I mean, we're talking about, he's amidst the pressure of some unseen ocean of bullshit, finally busting through the fracking fault lines of a nation breaking from a dark, sinister nightmare, and yet charged not with anger, but a madness of what is nothing short, well, of a pipe-smoking clown, busting through flint wall like a pin through a party balloon, like he means, let's have a birthday party. Why not? I mean, come on, people. He's got us by the balls in one hand and our sovereignty in the other. And he's screaming out like a crazed banshee, where's the party? We've got to do something for Bob. We've got to have ourselves a party. This is our birthday party. Bob is telling us to bring the birthday party right into the EU elections and run poets and singers and rappers and DJs, VJs, bands and anyone who knows a thing or two about down and dirty partying, political partying of course, but partying, and bring the celebration of our sovereign birthday party right into the solid arena of this European political whatever it is, pulling the masses from their sombre apathy. I mean, maybe he's got a good point. I mean, we're told more people voted in the finals of Strictly Come Dancing than voted for the Conservatives in the last European election, which led to their majority win. But what does it mean? Is that like the benchmark for a political apathy that allows corporations to rule the roost? Could we not turn that notion around and consider for a moment that maybe we should be running our elections a little more like Strictly Come Dancing? I mean, maybe Bob has a point here, and maybe we should heed to his greater wisdom. How many even remember the last European elections? Was it all over the TV like X Factor and Strictly Come Dancing? But in comparison, how many will remember the expenses scandal? Now, you honestly think it was mere irony that in the last European election, for the entire election period, the nation was awash with the expenses scandal splattered across almost every tabloid, every broadsheet, every news channel. It left everyone hating politicians because they claimed expenses for building moats around their castles. Didn't you buy into the story just a little bit and hated politicians that tiny bit more and had your little moan and not even notice the European elections slipping out the back door? I was a slick victory for the Tories, and it led to a very big no-show at the polling booths, one of the worst turnouts in Europe. And whilst the masses were reading in their papers just how bad those nasty politicians really were and had come to what they thought was their own conclusion. Don't vote, it only encourages them. Had no idea they were all porn stars in someone else's cum shop. Except the only bummer in this movie was they were the poor helpless lambs getting shafted by the uranium-tipped penis of a fracker, blind to see their own thoughts were nothing more than brainwashing that made them loathe politicians and want nothing more to do with the EU elections. Can you honestly tell me you weren't fracked over your own TV by David Cameron? And then, even more sinister, those same politicians then pumped out specially tailored news of their European election pledges to those most likely to vote exclusively for them. Information bought at vast expense from corporations such as supermarkets. They know exactly who you will vote for and exactly who will not vote at all based on the simple truth that you are what you eat, and all provided by the sweet loyalty of, guess what? Loyalty card systems. The result was Tories becoming Britain's strongest vote in Europe as the masses have been repulsed clean out of their own sovereignty. Another masterpiece clusterfuck of highly polished and devilishly engineered mind control by a mass media that makes news for the highest bidders. And you might rightly say, why bother? You could run for Mayor of London and live outside the Guardian offices in a pink rickshaw and get absolutely not one single mention in the main media. It's a crazy notion to think that a whole theatre exists just to bore and repulse you from voting. Makes you, aren't you tempted to create your own political party that costs only 150 quid, needs 2 people, and gives you your right for your own 24 hours members only bar to receive money without paying tax? I hear you whisper. And you're suddenly thinking, maybe Cameron won't be the only dog on the carpet licking his balls on election day. Maybe Bob's right, simply by looking at how we all played in the last European election. We can see how we're to be all played in this coming election period. Our unsung heroes of 1264, not the barons and the kings, but the people who rose up and won our sovereignty. Well, they'll go unsung. Whilst the new expenses scandal will be revamped and pumped out through the media or whatever it is that drives a person away from utilising their sovereign vote. Is it the whole Ukraine debacle playing out? Well, we're fed these stories of how this is all the EU driving this coup deter. Is it really the EU? Or an unopposed minority in the EU using this as a voting deterrent? Or maybe it's fracking itself that comes with its own rhyming slang that keeps you so distracted from foreign wars being funded through these austerity cuts. But maybe then, perhaps not, perhaps the new expenses scandal is none other than the new non-voting messiah of glam rock himself, Russell Brand. Now, how many will buy Russell's story and choose not to vote in this coming election? Will he even spare a word for a proportionally run electoral system like in Europe, or our sovereign birthday party? Is he not calling for the same revolution we've kind of already won? To jump back on that same wall of non-voting, undoing our flies and bending us back over the TV to be frapped? Or is he doing the complete opposite and bringing some kind of cool, hip kind of meaning to the meaning of politics? I mean, certainly he's brought a lot of attention to the theatre story that is being fed to us by the media that keeps us moderately to completely repulsed. Hang on. Suddenly I feel like the sheep that just worked out the sheepdog and the shepherd might be working together. Is Russell Brand working with Bob Dobbs? Is Russell also about to appear hand in hand with Bob Dobbs in Lewis prison, or maybe quite close? A party nearby, maybe? Maybe they'll come to herald the 750th anniversary of the People's Uprising, where we the people won our right to vote and choose better than these bloodthirsty warlords that only dangle our sovereignty before us like a child teasing a kitten with a piece of string. Bob is calling us. We've got to gather the women and summon the men, spread the word and ready the ponies. Cinderella shall go to the ball. But before you get completely lost in inviting all your mates to your sovereign birthday party, does anyone know any rappers or poets, maybe some singers, DJs, songwriters, storytellers, maybe DJs, VJs, anyone who basically knows a thing or two about proper partying, has got the fracking balls to take a stand for their sovereignty and bring the party back into this, guys? It's the only way we're going to get back involved. There's no one getting involved. This is our sovereign. We've got the right to choose. You can't go to these protests and claim you've got no power to stop this agenda if you don't even vote. This vote belongs to you. It belongs to your ancestors. They fought for it. We're bored out of this because they can't override that. So you've got to step in, and the only way we're going to step in is with a party. Praise Bob. Good reading material, by the way. If you really want to get into Bob, you need to get a hold of this. This is very good. But this is exceptional.
Good, also good.
By the answer now, true to the form, steering clear of the norm. Evacuate the area, we're cooking a storm. Now how we roll with the flow is something that you should know. So be a true track maker and a one-man show. You have to first be a listener to add any additional season to the recipe, the soul and the visit. Don't stress, be the best, get it off of your chest. Reflects best with the success, this is a test of how
candidates in the European parliamentary election for his political party, the Birthday Party. I mean, isn't it time for Bob Dobbs to return? Bob Dobbs, the people's hero? Why wouldn't he return to celebrate the masses when they charged down to Lewis and took their I said he'll appear like a flash on the 14th of May 2014 on the eve of the EU elections, and ironically the 750th anniversary of democracy. What's unclear is whether he's come to herald the People's Uprising that was the Battle of Lewis, or to run
how we can roll when we're rocking the song. We're never happy till the funk is at the back of the goal. So when you're headed with your ready and you think you can sell it, I got news that's just serious, print this off and shred it. You're a thief and a cheat and you're bringing the heat. You lack originality and that's the word on the street. Are you forever never even trying anything new? There's more than 4 but you ain't got a goddamn clue. To rock a party hard, baby, yeah, the whole night through. Stop, there's something wrong, oh that's you.
Now, a rumour has sprung forth from the deepest bowels of the also coveted covenants of the infamous Church of the Subgenius, heralding Bob Dobbs' long-awaited return.